Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. You're with Michelle Reinhardt. Today's show on the EGU podcast is perfect for awakening and emerging spiritual entrepreneurs. Today is specifically for wellness practitioners who are keen to discover the key to turn one customer into a dozen. I adore bringing global experts to amazing people like you with weekly inspiration and tools to help you thrive in mindset, energy, business, in all ways spiritual. And today we're here to arm you with a tried and tested arsenal of neuroscience principles that will position your business for customers to seek you. Now, when I first saw this tagline, I just thought, wow, this lady needs to be on our show because this is attraction marketing at its best. Now, I've enlisted the skills of Dr. Shara Downey. Welcome to the show, Shara.
Hello.
Oh, I'm a little bit tongue-tied. Maybe I'm a bit nervous. I don't know. How cool is that? I love nerves. They keep you on your toes.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Shara, you're very, very welcome. I'd love to give you a few minutes just to introduce yourself to our tribe.
Oh, okay, wonderful. So my name is Dr. Shara, and I'm a chiropractor by training. I had my own practice for over 10 years. I've just sold that practice, and I'm actually now helping another lady as well. And I'm also a neuro leadership coach for business. And so how this sort of started was, for probably 7 or 10 years, I've noticed that a lot of practitioners, holistic or traditional, started really losing touch with clients. And in their practices, it was all about the numbers, how fast you can get through patients, and connection started to be lost. And my passion is, what people call bedside manner or connecting with your patients, and also being a better practitioner, getting through to people faster, getting them to accelerate results. And it was just really learning how to explain that to other people, because to some it doesn't come naturally, and I assumed that everybody knew how to do this.
Okay, I'm just jotting down some notes here because you've just given me another 50 questions to ask. And look, I'm sure that there's plenty of people sitting here listening to us that have been stuck in waiting rooms, that have finally got in to see a practitioner and kind of been not treated with the respect that they would have hoped, and certainly not got the results that they would have liked as well. So,
Right.
so I'm super impressed that you've taken this on as a passion and a purpose and a mission. So good for you. You found a niche, and by the sounds of it, you've completely nailed it.
Well, and it's amazing because a lot of the principles that are emerging, that our people are starting to implement into their businesses of all industries, are things that should by right come naturally for practitioners when you're dealing with human beings and dealing with health. And so those are the things that we're kind of relearning and reteaching to help people really get people to activate their minds and their brains so it connects to their body and they can accelerate results.
Wow. Okay. You know this backwards. So, look, I'd just like to take this moment to invite our listeners to make sure that you're comfy, turn off your zings and pings for 30-ish minutes, and please allow yourself to drop into this space with us. If you're lovely and relaxed and connect with us, you will learn and take things in such a deeper level. So turn on your undivided attention, connecting to the highest possible outcome for your time with us. So, Sharon, you have a huge share today about how to help wellness practitioners arm themselves with an arsenal of neuroscience principles. Now, could you start by explaining neuroscience principles and how this evolved for you?
So really it was a way of helping my patients in my practice of all kinds of thought processes and types of people, because obviously we're going to attract people to us that are similar, but we may also attract people who are not. And I really wanted to delve into how to help people better that were sitting in my waiting room, that were sitting in my office, and help them get results and help them sort of better their lives. And a lot of times, practitioners, it's great to have people come and see you, but you don't want them to be dependent on you. You want them to have the ability to turn on the self-healing power of their body, have them connect mind and body so that they understand what's going on faster than when they actually have a condition, and really sort of get that body working for them better. And so it made me to start looking outside of my practice on how I can do that connection better. So I trained through NLP. I've gone through a neuro leadership certification program for coaches, but really getting more in depth on the knowledge of how our brain works and how to integrate that into everyday life. Because I find it so fascinating, like our brain is amazing, but how do we actually then bring that down and integrate it into our own lives, but into our businesses as well?
Well, you are really talking my language. Now, is this something that you can take us a little deeper into, how our brain works and how to integrate that into our body, or is this a...
Let's do something super simple. So if we look at like our brain as a walnut on top of a stem, the stem is the primitive, or, you know, like our fight or flight sort of response. That reaction you have when someone tries to cut you off, or, you know, when you haven't eaten and someone gets you a little bit angry, we have those primitive responses. Yeah. Well, that's also where our emotional centers are. And unfortunately, the emotion center is right next to the primitive center. Right. And so, you know, us wonderful human beings that have all this extra, you know, evolution and knowledge and power in our prefrontal cortex and all the upper parts of the brain, we don't get to that part if we stay in the emotion. And a lot of people get stuck in these loops of negative emotion, primal response, negative emotion, primal response. And that's a lot of times how physical ailments actually come about, because you're so stressed internally and all the different chemicals that are happening brings on physical manifestation. So to allow people to break that cycle and allow us as practitioners to actually get past their filters, to get in there quickly with language and behavior for them to change and have new habits, is ideally what's going to be best for them.
Beautiful. So you kind of teach people a different way of looking at life.
And a different way of connecting with yourself, but also with your client.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. And how does that then, I mean, you mentioned that transfers down into the body, and I see it play out over and over again in my clinic, that, you know, people carry so many traumas and dramas and worries in their body, and, you know, it's all just energy.
Yeah.
So we've got to move it. We've got to acknowledge it and shift it and learn a different way. If you're in a bundle of pain, doing what you've always done is not going to solve the problem.
Exactly. Yeah,
and
exactly.
People just keep coming and they keep handing their health, their wellness, their life over to practitioners and expect them to do everything for them. But they've got to take that level of responsibility themselves, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And even with the clients that I work with, I have to explain that your results are your results, whether good or bad. I can't take responsibility because your body's healing based on the environment that you're providing for it. Yeah. I'm a facilitator to remove interference. And so I think when individuals come to a practice, if they're in physical pain, they haven't necessarily taken the time to be aware, you know, stress at work, time at work, posture at work. Those are things that people are becoming aware of, that they know are triggers. Mm-hmm. But realizing that turns into a chemical in their body. Your body doesn't know stress like we know the word stress. It sees a chemical that's in the body. So if that chemical is repeated, cells break down, functions break down, we don't have things work as well, and then the body has to go into fight or flight mode to adapt to that new environment. So that's a lot of the individuals that we work with don't see that kind of process. But as practitioners, we know that's going on. And so if we're able to break the cycle in their thinking pattern, in their habit pattern, so that it's not repeating itself, you're allowing the environment internally for the body to start to heal.
Yeah, I love that. It's that intention, isn't it, really? Yeah, exactly. So we're off topic already and we've only started. Now, I read something on your site. In my chiropractic practice, our business was 90% referrals for over 7 to 8 years.
Yeah.
I often had new patients finish a case review and leave asking how to refer their family members before they even had a session.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Now we're right on topic. Referrals are by far and large the easiest way to do business. I personally don't like people buying gift vouchers for friends and clients because they haven't been attracted to my marketing, my style, my message. So it's a lot more difficult. So how do we, as wellness practitioners, turn one customer into a dozen?
Well, it really starts with getting past the filter of the client that's in front of you. So all of us have a filter in our mind based on experiences and, depending on the age that we are, life experience with other people, we kind of make up what life is about. So they're already sitting in front of you with an expectation of who you are, what you do, and how you can help them. So it does already kind of block that message that you're trying to give to them. So there's really easy ways to kind of bypass a filter. The first one is finding out how that person actually receives information. And it sounds so simple, but people don't take the time to find this out. It is such a very effective technique. If you find out if your client in front of you takes visual information, auditory, or they're more kinesthetic or a feeling type of personality, you're able to then reword your message in that fashion so that it bypasses their filter. And so we went to the extreme of actually putting questions on our intake form in different styles so that it would be attractive to the different people coming into our practice. And based on how they answered questions, before I even laid eyes on them in the consult room, I knew what kind of person they were. Were they a healer? Were they a listener? Were they a visual? So that the minute I sat down, I could immediately be able to address them in that fashion. So from the first words out of my mouth, they were already receiving information in the way they took information.
Yeah, so you either connect with someone, you draw a picture for them, or you figure that out. So how do you know which form to give them in the first instance, though?
Well, so on our actual form, we have sort of 3 or 4 basic pieces of information we need, but we've had them asked now in a few different ways.
Right.
Depending on the question answering, we know what kind of person they are.
Fantastic.
So there's a lot of questions, but really it's the same information, but we're just getting it from you in a different way.
Beautiful. So you just weave in through that filter straight away, and then you have someone that's connecting almost heart to heart, really, because you're speaking their language.
Yeah. And the other thing that's really important is anybody coming, especially to a holistic practitioner, there's that element of unknown and a little bit of, fear, a little bit of trepidation about what's going to happen to me. YouTube, So because it's not as well known for some of the practitioners, when people are stepping into their space, they already have a guard up. And one of the ways that we sort of bypass that guard is to pre-frame what's going to happen. And a lot of times that will allow them to calm down enough so that they're able to be open for receiving information. So the minute someone's in fear mode or protection mode, they're back to that primitive brain. So they're not in the receiving and learning mode.
Yes.
And anyone as a practitioner knows that first consultation really is about educating the client about what's to come, what you can do for them, how you can help them, how it could be supportive in their family life as well. But they're not going to get any of that information if they're in the fear mode. So pre-framing is another technique that we use even right from the very first phone call so that people can be on a calmer state and be a lot more open to receiving information.
Yeah, no one likes nasty surprises. And we all do things very differently. I mean, from my perspective, I've often got clients that are almost naked and they have never met me. And there's a lot of trust involved there. And by pre-framing, you can take the 1 or 2 sessions that takes them to relax and trust you. You can get them through that so very fast. So they step into healing very, very quickly.
Yeah, it can really accelerate results, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got the finding out the style and the pre-framing. And where do we go from there, Shara?
So there's a few levels to the pre-framing. It allows people to understand your process and procedures, but it also allows you in the consult to give them an idea of what's going to happen. So that's where you introduce what I call future pacing. So right from the very first consult, we explain that their healing process is aided by support. The more people that understand what they're going through help to support them, similar to like a weight loss or health and diet program. If you go home and your family doesn't know you're trying to get healthy and they're giving you potato chips, of course they're not able to support you. And it's not that they don't want to, they don't know.
That's right.
they have to be able to clearly explain to their family the process that they're going through. And a lot of times, especially in my practice, people don't have that ability. So we actually invite them to bring their family members on the second visit where we explain results so that the whole family understands what this person's going through. So we've already pre-framed, but then future paced them into bringing people in. That oftentimes has them coming back, and then those family members are actually getting a checkup as well.
Nice.
So it gives them the idea of what the value is of what they're getting, how it's unique to them, gives them the ability to be heard and understood. So already those elements are all what really people need to want to start telling people about your service. And if they feel like a VIP from the straight first point, they're sending people straight away.
They would be too. I can totally understand that. I've done it myself. I've found in fact, I've got a whole cohort of practitioners that are first referrals from my practice. So, when you go there and you feel safe and you feel respected and honoured, and you get the results because you're working with the client or the practitioner in this case, then you're going to have much better result than someone walking in that's cold, that's fearful, that's nervous, that doesn't even really believe it's going to work anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, how on earth are you supposed to get results from that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's interesting. So a lot of times I will have people say, my friend is with another chiropractor and they've got 10 or 20 sessions and they never did for them what you've done in one time for me. How can I get them to come here? So they're already referring other people who are seeing other practitioners on how they've had an experience, right? This is their first time. I haven't even touched them barely. And then it's really interesting to have that because people really love experience. And so if they feel looked after, they feel safe, then they will absolutely talk about it.
Well, you're doing much more than a chiropractic service here, though. You're treating the mind, the body, and the soul.
And a lot of times that comes with understanding who the person is in front of you, which is through some of the techniques that we've discussed.
Yeah.
Then it's really future pacing them as well. And why I find that important is it helps them manage expectation. So I am super honest about my limitations. And a lot of times professionals don't want to be. They like to say that they can help with anything. Yeah. I would rather let people know they've got a resource of a network, right? So that is also one of the things we say in our consult is, this is what I can do for you. This is what you can expect. And based on your expectation, it might meet, it might not. How can we match that? But if I can't help you, these are the people that can, that I work with. Yeah. And I think that holds that space for people even more because they know that nobody's perfect. Nobody has every single answer. And I understand that the body is super complex and I don't want to pretend like I can help everything. I want them to know that they're in an integrated network that will give them the best care possible.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. And nor should you take on the full responsibilities of your client.
Yeah.
You're not going to sleep at night either, so. So you mentioned that there were a few steps within the pre-framing. Was there anything else that you'd like to add on top of the future pacing?
No, I think it's really managing the expectation. Okay. So you have to get really good at reading your client, which comes from bypassing the filter, because once you know the type of person they are and how they communicate, you're going to be able to read their signs, whether it's verbal or physical or just even in the way they describe something, that you're able to pick up on cues that they may not even realize they're not telling you all the information. So really it comes down to your questioning. It's how clear, how potent are the questions you're asking, because that gets them to realize they can trust you, but also helps them open up to realize there's things that they didn't even realize were going on.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, I understand that you have a giveaway that you'd like to offer our listeners as well that can help them with this process.
Yay! The first one is I've written an ebook on thinking out of the box on referral strategies.
Beautiful.
And so a lot of times we come up with thinking that referrals are all in-house and from current clients, which is really, really potent. But there's many other ways that referrals can come to us and very easy to access. So the ebook is accessible, complimentary for everybody. And I think the link is included with our recording here. So everyone will have an option to download that.
Yeah, fantastic. That is amazing. And whilst we've got you, is there anything else that you would love to add that you have noticed is kind of missing in our world of healing and well-being for clients that you particularly, above from everything else that we've mentioned, that you work with, that you'd like to open the eyes perhaps for other wellness practitioners that are listening?
I think a lot of wellness practitioners are definitely working into the space of giving their clients home or self-care tools. And what I would love to see is that they incorporate tools that are also mind-body connection tools. So, as a chiropractor, it's common people assume I'm going to give people stretches. But a lot of times people don't know why they're stretching. They don't understand the facilitation of movement of the body. They don't understand that if you move the body after learning something, that you incorporate learning deeper into the brain. So if something in that regard where they could incorporate a meditation or certain music that will trigger brain learning, but just self-care tools that also have their brain incorporated, not just physical self-care tools.
And not the busy brain either. The brain in stillness, because it's the busy brain that's got them in trouble in the first place, usually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I completely agree with that. Encouraging people to spend more time in nature, to reconnect with the part of them that they want to be, that wellness part,
mm-hmm.
and start to see themselves as being well, as being fit, as being healthy, and imagining how that's going to feel.
Yeah.
Just to really cut the time down in their process, in the journey.
Well, it's even as simple as giving your clients visualization tools or having them mind map 3 or 4 pictures of things that they want to do, like play with their grandchildren more, go on a trip with ease, walk, Mount Kilimanjaro, but even
with ease.
A visualization tool or something that they can look forward to. So through their healing journey, because there'll be ups and downs, they've always got that positive outlook that they're looking and working towards. Because as practitioners, we do it in our business. So our clients actually should be doing it in their healing journey as well.
I think so too. I completely agree. And often as practitioners, we've had that training because we're forerunning, aren't we? Whereas the people that are coming to us, we need to be very mindful and respectful that they are coming.
Mm-hmm.
Often they come to get what they think they're going to get, but then sometimes it's our duty to give them what they need as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty important. So what a wonderful conversation. I'm excited. I'm going to be going and downloading your Thinking Out of the Box referral strategies for sure. And Shara, I'd just love to thank you for your time today and invite you to let people know how they can best find you.
Well, the easiest way is my website is www.drshara.com. Also on Instagram at the same, Dr_Shara, or Facebook, Dr. Shara Downey.
Oh, that's beautiful. And for those that are wondering how on earth they can get to your wonderful clinic, where are you located?
Well, I'm actually located in Singapore.
Yeah.
Singapore. We're in the East Coast in a beautiful shop house, so there's a lot of heritage to our clinic. It's very relaxed, so it's a wonderful space.
Oh, it sounds divine. Absolutely sounds beautiful. So, folks, thank you for joining us. And just remember, if you're in a space of needing support or assistance, it's there for you. We're here to help.
Mm-hmm.
You can join our online community, and that's how we actually met.
Mm-hmm.
And that is at Entrepreneurs Globally Unite on Facebook. You can find us. Of course, subscribe to the show. Each week we bring global experts to you and have amazing, insightful conversations just like today's. So we'd like to invite you to reach out and join us. And there was one other thing that you mentioned. You've just completed a free training video on how to use neuroscience principles easily. That was a mouthful.
Definitely. So that's also a free download as well.
Beautiful.
It's turning one client into 3, how to use the principles that we've discussed today.
Fantastic. So that's all on your website as well?
Yes.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us. It's been wonderful and short and sweet. Plenty of tips here. But just to recap for everyone, remember to help people by you understanding how they're going to receive you, just to drop down that barrier, and to pre-frame, well, to get the guard down was the words that we were using, to pre-frame so that clients understand the process that you intend to take them on, so that you've got them on the journey with you, not necessarily dragging them along. And of course, the future pacing, including other family members to get on board with the healing process and help them, bring them into your practice as well, and encourage people to bring people to you via the referral system. So thinking out of the box referral strategies, free video training, it's all yours at drshara.com. Yep. Beautiful.
drshara.com.
That's it. It's too easy. So that's it from us this week, folks. Until next week, I'd love to encourage you to all shine bright, because that is why you're here. If you need our help, reach out, send us a comment, pop a message in, and we'll be there to support you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a great week.